Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we wrap up a loose end or two here in the Janus system in Telecos Epsilon, and then we head back to Footfall, get that stuff resolved as well. And just real quick, I will say, I did go back down to the estate and to the Rebel base just to see if there was any sort of follow-up. But no, sadly, no signs of Moron, no signs of the Rebels. Just some minor ambient chatter about mysterious mutant sightings around the agri-complexes. But I imagine that'll all... Baby, what are you doing? Stop trying to stab me in the face. I've been recording for like 50 seconds. Anyway, I'm sure it'll come up again in the future, but for now, let's just get our new colony off the ground. Bye, Ellie. And yeah, in reviewing our options here, all three of these would be pretty in character for someone like Valen. Iconoclasm, Crime Lord, and Forge World, respectively. That said, I think ultimately, given the circumstances on Janus, our best bet is to lean into the Iconoclast side of things and go with Chem Princes, essentially give control of the planet back over to the populace to try to, I guess, re-earn their trust. That'll help resecure the planet, provide some minor resources, and most notably, provide a renewable source of Tears of Repentance, unique debuff grenades, which we'll get some use out of, but more notably, will provide a slow but steady source of reputation gain with any faction that accepts Mechanicus cargo. So, Explorators, Pirates, and possibly Caspalica? I'd have to double-check that one. It'll also be nice to have a renewable source of grenades if I decide to go that route with Pascal or Yerliette. But that's for later down the line. I'll also note, I did give serious consideration to the Ultraquisitors, if just for the Starblight Drukhari sniper rifle, which does sound fun, but also requires us to take a talent just to use it. And honestly, I have to imagine we'll find better rifles later down the line, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So yeah, Chem Princes it is. Though, as always, I'm curious to hear what you guys might think. I do think long-term we're going to kind of lean into projects that provide infinite renewable cargo, you know, just so we can really game that reputation system. But for now, we move on. Let's get back to Footfall. And you know, we'll go ahead and clean up our flight path a bit en route. The tranquility of the warp jump was disturbed by reports of frightening sounds and visions that descended upon the crew. Hundreds of people reported knocking and screaming behind the bulkheads of the void vessel, the sound of nails scratching against the hull, and the elongated Eldari-like shadows thrashing about the long passageways. The phenomena were most prominent in the far corner of the officer deck, where the new Lord Captain's companion, named Yerliette, had made her home. That's probably fine. I should set aside some time to talk to her while all this Janus stuff is still fresh. Gotta set aside time to talk to all of our companions at some point, just to bank all that lore. My apologies, Lord Captain. The Enforcers report that your pet Eldari is in a foul mood, and is moving toward the Captain's bridge. We didn't dare to stop her, but I expect that you have a difficult conversation ahead of you. Oh, well, okay. I guess the time is now. Fair enough. Touché, Yerliette. Let's see what's on her mind.
Please spare me a brief moment of your time, Elantak.
Yerliette quietly appears beside the throne, exhaustion and anger set upon her brow.
Azurion knows that I do not care about the curious glances of Monkey. I grew inured to them back in the blossoming gardens of the Lilithon. They curse me from afar. They follow my every move. They ward themselves against me. Let them. After all, what can be done with such weak-minded, primitive creatures? And still, one monkey stunt has caused the cup of my patience to spill over. She dared to approach me, to speak to me, and touching my hand, she suggested that we withdraw somewhere private. She wanted... Keimora. The mere memory of it stirs up a tempest in my soul.
Juliet touches her spirit stone, and her face twists with genuine disgust. I apologize. My people have clearly acted inappropriately. I'll have words with them.
I accept your words, Elentark. And still...
Juliet tilts her head to the side, as if she cannot believe what she has just heard, and looks intently into your eyes.
Try to imagine, Elentark, being lusted after by a wild beast. It is foul, disgusting, so vile that it makes your very soul shudder.
Juliet is so overwhelmed with emotion that her body starts to tremble. Alright, well that's a bit much. You don't hear me going on about how weird and lanky Eldar are. My goodness, these responses. I understand that this advance was unwelcome, but there's no reason to paint with such a broad and offensive brush. Not all humans are the same. It's not like the entire ship hit on you.
No. Your kind, simple souls and narrow minds are the root of all these flaws.
Cool. Good talk.
Narrow minds and simple souls. Every day, I feel as if I am caught in a trap, surrounded by a pack of wild animals. I am prepared to pay this price to find my kin, but everything has its limit.
Her eyes are half closed, her words barely audible. Alright, well, I mean... no offense, but I feel like the humans aren't the only ones being simple and narrow-minded here. I feel like you should spend a little more time, perhaps, trying to understand why humans act as they do, instead of immediately buying into Eldari stereotypes. And then we, in turn, can try to have greater respect for your own idiosyncrasies.
I have walked the path of awakening, Elentark, and learned to see that which is hidden, and hear that which is unspoken. When I found myself on the Lilithon, I watched your kind long enough to understand the true nature of Monkey. I do not think you can tell me anything I do not already know. Nevertheless, I will not protest. Conversations with you are the only thing on this ship that can ease my solitude.
Casting a fleeting gaze at the officers on the bridge, she lets out a weary sigh. Cool. Glad you're keeping an open mind. Look, Juliet, you're a Xenos, a non-hostile Xenos living amongst humanity, which for many of us is something that was completely unfathomable before recent events. So it's only natural that many of the crew would be curious to better understand you.
Had any of them wished to understand my nature, they would have already run away in fear from one who walks the path of the outcast. But they are just trying to provoke me, hurt me. No. Monkey are driven by their instincts. To survive, to breed, to ensure the preservation of their species and the annihilation of those who threaten them. It is neither good nor bad. It simply is.
Okay, I'm detecting distinct notes of self-loathing here, which I feel might be the actual root of your problem, but, again, you really shouldn't paint humanity as a single amorphous whole.
It was emotions that once brought down my kind, Elentak, toppling us from our pedestal as rulers of the galaxy. Indulging your weaknesses or whims does not make your species any more attractive.
Right, but what I'm saying is that humanity is made up of individuals, each with their own motivations and views. Different humans have different reasons for doing things. And I'm sure the person who approached you wasn't doing it to hurt you. They were probably legitimately interested in getting to know you better, even if it was, you know, physically. But again, it was inappropriate. You're a guest.
Elentak, please understand that I do not find Monkey attractive. The mere thought of being intimate with one of your kind.
Juliet breathes out heavily, trying to maintain her composure. Wow, you are not making this easy, are you?
Our conversation has only proved my point, Elentak, that Monkey and the children of Azurian are as different as night and day. Eldari do not simply see the world differently. They see more than any monkey can ever comprehend.
Her slender fingers make a gesture, as if she is untwisting an invisible thread. Okay, Juliet, look, I'm going to be blunt here because, clearly tact isn't working, but you keep saying that humans and Eldari are just inherently incompatible, but have you ever actually tried to explain how it is that you see things?
What do I see? Your words ring with the desire to know the soul of another. But will you be able to comprehend my answer?
Juliet gives you a thoughtful look.
I will need time to put the entire truth of this world into the meager language to which your ears are accustomed. When I find my answer, I will pay you a visit.
After thinking a moment, she nods. Cool. I look forward to that. Well, I feel like that went about as well as it possibly could have. Got some serious Seymour Skinner vibes there. Am I so out of touch? No, it's everyone else who's wrong. But, you know, at least he's trying. Sort of. I suppose that's the best we can hope for when it comes to the exotic and unknowable Xenos. Anyway, on to Footfall. We've got 3 main things on our to-do list while we're here. Starting with a quick visit to Vladain Tokara. Your Lordship, the first ships from Janus have already arrived. The station is no longer facing famine, or the predatory interests of the Korda dynasty. I must admit, right up until the last moment, I did not believe that you would come to our aid without an ulterior motive. Your ascension makes me wonder if life in the Coronis Expanse is changing in the most unexpected way. Happy to help. I'm sure you can return the favor someday. Hey, what's going on down in the Shadow Quarters? I noticed there was a quarantine last time I passed through. Oh, that. He grimaces. Who knows, it could be an actual epidemic. Or perhaps the two families that started it all came down with food poisoning at the same time. We're on a space station. The best solution here is to isolate the area and wait for the problem to resolve itself. Which it has, essentially. The reports say that there hasn't been a living soul in the quarantine zone for days now. My people are in the process of dismantling the barricades, removing the mines, and preparing to purge the place thoroughly with fire. Feels a bit extreme, but I suppose it's all relative, right? I hear when your predecessor was faced with a similar issue, he just detached part of the station. Dropped it right into the sun. Yes, he did. And what a senseless decision it was. There are more reliable ways of disinfecting an area without having to lose a whole asteroid. That maneuver of his destabilized the station's integrity, and the consequences of that were still being felt up until I became liege. When I entered office, I had to negotiate with a tech priest to make necessary repairs, and it cost me a preposterous amount of money and resources. Right, I imagine it would. So it's safe for me to go down there? I have business in that sector. The lockdown has been lifted and the entrance is cleared. There have been no strange deaths in Utility Crew 3, the team that's stationed there. It's up to you to decide how great a risk you're willing to take. Fair enough. Ah, okay. Nothing we can actually afford just yet. I was kind of hoping that, that playing nice with him would have netted us an extra discount or something, but I guess not. Let's head down to the quarantine zone, see what's what. It sounds like things may have actually played out a little differently than I remember in Alpha. But I guess we'll see. Sergeant? Ah, you again. Greetings. We were just in the middle of removing the cordon, you see. The epidemic's over, apparently. If there ever was one, that is. Me and the lads are gonna light the place up a bit, and then it'll be right as rain. So what's your expert opinion? Safe for me to go in there, or...? Well, that depends. We figure everyone who could have died is dead and rotting. And disease and parasites don't usually live in corpses. We threw a few expendables in the quarantine zone, and we can say for sure that it was thirst that killed them in the end, not disease. Okay, well that feels unnecessary, but good to know, I guess, thanks. Also, not to impugn your professionalism, but those people clearly look like they're still alive. Brothers and sisters, look! They cleared the way! We break through! It's now or never! I want to live forever. It's my life. I won't die here like a rat! Go! Go! Shoot everyone you run into!
You will beg for mercy, but I will grant none.
I will take you down!
Huh. Okay, yeah, this is definitely playing out differently than it did back in Alpha. Oh, right, because we told them to end the quarantine early, so... Right, back in Alpha, everyone was dead by the time we actually did come in here. But that is obviously not the case this time, because that is clearly a lot of not dead people. Though they are about to be very dead. So, well, no good deed, I guess. Yeah, I guess there's really just no good ending to this particular scenario. You either keep the lockdown in place until everyone dies, or you come in early, and everyone dies. But such is the nature of the grim dark future. Well, maybe not. Maybe there are still some folks in there we can actually help. Alright, let's do this. And hopefully we should have those new combat animation settings working properly this time. Let's see. Abby up front. Pask on flank. Oh gosh, yeah, these guys are nothing. Which I guess does make sense, given the circumstances.
Heavy is the tread of his faithful.
Oh, right. These guys are full of disease. That is a slight issue. Noted. Noted for the future. Should be fine, though. Let's get zone set. Non-attack animations do seem to be set properly now. So that should definitely help with the combat pacing.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? Someone.
Oh, level up.
Out of our way!
Nice.
Me? If you insist, face the navigator's might.
My goodness, I almost feel sorry for these guys. I mean, I would feel sorry for them if not for the fact that they attacked us the second we walked in.
I've suffered worse.
And we're good.
Ugh. Pain and duty go hand in hand.
Obviously not much of a fight, but got to confirm the combat animations are set properly. And we pulled a level up to boot. Plus that's a modest amount of extra cargo, I think. Which does help to offset the loss of cargo from negotiating with the Eldar. Yeah, nothing all that notable from these guys, but that's like 2, maybe 3 stacks of weapons.
Let us see what I found.
A part of an ancient sewer system. The pipes lead somewhere deep within the asteroid. Reverend Hieronymus's teaching on the path of St. Drusus, which I believe we've already read. Though we can convert it into cargo. Death, dressed in black, walked the streets and sowed disease. Really? Interesting. That's also new. Yeah, back in Alpha, we actually tried to help these people by convincing Vladimir Tokara to send in supplies for the sick, but by the time we actually got in here, they were all either gone or dead. But this time we actually get to talk to them, which is
Always
interesting.
Keep your eye on the price.
Toxic knife. Not particularly useful to us, but we'll take it. Anver's propaganda. It has been a while.
Is there money to be made?
That's something else that's kind of interesting, is the 3 token Anvers we had down here. Might not mean anything, but it could imply that they're still active even after the loss of 2 leaders. Anyway, let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll take a look at our options and be right back. And we're back. Alright, let's run through this. This time around, everyone gets 1 new talent and 1 characteristic boost. Starting with Valen, we are going for Seize the Advantage, which grants plus 15 lethality against enemies affected by slowed, immobilized, or hemorrhage. So essentially, for Valen, that boils down to an instant plus 30 lethality against any target we tag with Death Whisper, though we'll also have easy access to Immobilized once we get another level under our belt. At that point, that's an easy plus 45 lethality. Then, as far as our characteristic goes, no real question here. We're going to go ahead and round out our intelligence, bump that up to 70. Next, we've got Yurliette. And for her, we're going to go ahead and likewise bump up her intelligence, round that to 40. That'll give her a much-needed bump on Xenos lore. Obviously, we also want to bump up her agility for demolitions, but we'll get to that a little later down the line. Then for her talent, we're going straight down to Hunter's Ambush, which she will not get much use out of just yet, but she will once we gain another level, because that's when she'll be picking up that immobilizing trap ability, which will also pair nicely with Valen's thing. That's it for Yurliette. Next we've got Abby, and as has, I think, been pretty thoroughly established at this point, he is in dire need of more weapon skill, so we'll go ahead and bump that up. And then for his talent, we'll go with Taunting Opportunity. That'll pair nicely with the whole forced movement provoking we've been doing with Cassia, which has already been pretty effective, but this will just add an extra control element to it. And then that, in turn, will pair nicely with things like Taunting Defense and Center of Attention, plus Counterattack Stance, once we actually unlock it. After that, we've got Adira, who will, of course, ignore her Grand Strategist class, and instead stay focused on her own thing, which in this case is very straightforward. We're just going for the next rank of Psyker, which is just a straight-up flat +1 boost to her Psyker rating. That's an across-the-board bonus to all of her Psyker abilities. Then, as for her characteristic, again, we're going to go ahead and bump up her intelligence, get that rounded up to 50. That'll help with both her basic operative abilities as well as shore up her warp lore. Oh, speaking of which, I should also highlight that we did miss an item back at Vicenza's estate, the Tome of Excess. Turns out half our party had concussions our first time through, so they missed it, but I did snag it the second time through. That's just a basic +10 to warp lore. Not a big deal, but figured it was worth mentioning. After that, we've got Cassia, who, again, will of course stay focused on her navigator stuff. And this time out, we are grabbing Eye of Oblivion, which with her current stat spread is a -12% modifier to enemy dodge and hit chances. That's just a great all-around debuff to pretty much everyone on the battlefield. Though it also, of course, grants her an extra +1 fellowship and scales up several of her other navigator abilities. And then, of course, stacking on top of that, we will also bump up her fellowship, rounding it out at 80. That'll boost all of her various persuasion skills. But on top of that, it will also pair nicely with Grand Strategist, since she is, of course, the fellowship half, while Pascal is handling the intelligence side of things. Speaking of which, he will actually invest in his Grand Strat side, since I'm kind of backing off on the whole plasma gun thing. And instead, we'll have him take Adjusting Frontline. I will admit, I'm a bit on the fence with this one, but between Cassia and Pascal, that should be a plus 10% variable modifier to defense or damage. I like the idea of it, but I might go back and change that one later. I just felt compelled to actually invest in some Grand Strategist stuff, you know? Obviously, his characteristic advance will go into Intelligence. That rounds it out to 70, further boosting all of his Grand Strat and various other associated abilities. And that's it. Level up complete. Though I am having immediate second thoughts on that Adjusting Frontline. I'll have to give that some more consideration off screen. Let's finish exploring the area we're in now. I am curious to see what else might play out differently here. What was that? Someone spilt water here, and it hasn't had time to dry. Someone trying to aid the sick, perhaps?
Keep your wits about you.
Judging by the traces of destruction and the corpses all around, many people tried to break through this door.
I always keep my options open.
You hear the sound of falling objects from behind the thick sheet of metal, followed by angry hissing. Quiet! I said quiet! Before someone finds us! Look, no need to be alarmed. I'm just here to help. Please, have mercy. Don't kill us. We're not infected, I swear. It's them. They're to blame. It's them. Her pleading is cut short by a violent, wheezing cough. Okay, well that's not a great sign, but, who's to blame? We'll tell you everything. Just please, spare our lives. We know where the disease came from. We do. We know. Another coughing fit interrupts the woman's words. It's them. Those damn mutants. They have a hideout somewhere under our block. We used to see them skulking in the shadows all the time. The two families who died first, they had dealings with them. Traded something. And they caught some mutant blight. I know they did. Those mutants are very tough. They're always sick with something, but they don't die of it. But ordinary people definitely do. We got lucky, though. We're alive. We're getting by. The disease couldn't claim us. I mean, you're clearly sick, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt for now. We're not lying. Look for their entrance. It has to be close by. There is a groove here in the dust, like someone left tracks behind before hastily covering them.
I always have a backup plan.
Oh, yes, and then this elevator, I remember this. This leads back up top to the entrance. These people did not die from the disease. It seems they simply fought to the death over the remaining provisions.
Is there money to be made?
Open areas of skin have turned into one massive burst ulcer. The buzzing of flies and the heinous stench complete the picture. Yeah, this is actually kind of surreal because I do distinctly remember some of this from Alpha. But from what I recall, the whole place was wiped out when we actually did get down here. As opposed to the dozens of people we've still got kind of lingering around this time out. I think back in Alpha, the sole exception were the mutants that we just got pointed towards.
My success is an irrefutable certainty.
Who were responsible for the outbreak. Or at least that was the implication. Maybe that's not actually the case. Perhaps that'll play out differently this time as well.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
The dead are covered in ulcers, and several show traces of repulsive mutations. And there's the mutant lair, but we'll hold off on that for the moment. Finish poking around up here
Rise
first.
to the top or get left in the dust.
More miscellaneous cargo, no big deal. Okay. A decent mix of cargo, we'll take that. Loosely buried under the piles of trash are bodies with obvious gunshot wounds. A pair of eyes lights up in the darkness, too big to be human, too intelligent to be an animal. A moment later, the vision vanishes. Oh, Pyromaniac boots. The wearer cannot suffer the burning effect by walking over burning cells. The wearer inflicts +3 additional stacks of burning whenever they stand on burning cells. Obviously not particularly useful for our specific crew. Maybe if we had gone full flamer build with Argenta. I do think that's new, though. I think that's one of the new Pyromaniac items they just added in recent patches. There was once a mine entrance here, but it caved in decades ago.
A trivial task.
Hey, there we go. Note from the cache in the old tunnel. This is the final stretch, Seeker. Remember the second word, design. Remember the place, Cogitator, statue of the founder. Small temple. Which is obviously the Cogitator next to the statue of Parzimus Dwayne. So that'll be our third stop once we're done down here.
Keep your wits about you.
Though, actually, glancing at the clock, we should probably go ahead and call it here. Unless things have changed radically since Alpha, we're in for a guaranteed fight once we go through that door. And yeah, I do want to take a step back and reevaluate that talent I gave Pascal. The more I think about it, the less I like adjusting frontline. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping. And we will pick up here next time. As we take care of this, we finish up that scavenger hunt. And then, once again, set our sights on the great beyond. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EreV23, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
It is neither good nor bad. It simply is.